Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank Senator Cardin for having me with him today and with these families. I want to welcome everyone back to our Cahill Fitness and Wellness Center here for Rec and Parks. Happy to have our Rec and Parks Director Moore, here as well. And really, I also want to thank Sarah Johnson of the Cash Campaign Maryland and all of the hardworking parents who have come out to tell their stories and shed light on the immense benefit of the expanded child tax credit. I am proud to stand not just with my senator, but also with President Biden and all of our federal representatives to put more money in the hands of everyday Americans and Baltimoreans, in this case, struggling to stay afloat amid the ongoing pandemic. And for those, I know, Senator, there are some folks who think that the pandemic is over. It is an ongoing pandemic. This new legislation provides a guaranteed payment per child to working families if they make up to $150,000 for a couple or $112,000 for a single parent household. The expansion provides significantly. You can't buy my hands on Amazon. It is there, but the wind's a little stronger than the sandbag, unfortunately. Yeah, it does feel good. The expansion provides significantly more money to our working families, up to 3,600 for children under the age of 6, and raise the age limit from 16 to 17. Imagine how these extra funds can impact residents and families' lives. This will help people put food on the table, make rent and car payments, put clothes on their children's back, and help families be able to obtain the things that they need to not just survive but thrive in our economy and world today. Not only does this change give more money to families, it will also make it substantially easier to obtain the child tax credit. It automatically applies the credit based on your recent tax filings. Even families that haven't filed a tax return and families that don't have recent income can still get this full tax credit. If you weren't required to file taxes this year, you can use your IRS non-filer portal to get your tax credit and start receiving payments. Just visit getctc.org. Again, that is getctc.org to find out more about how to get your credit. If you have a child with a Social Security number, you can get the CTC even if you don't have one yourself. If you need help getting your child tax credit, the Cash Campaign is a great and ready available resource for you. We need to make sure that every young person in Baltimore City has the necessary resources to ensure that they all can grow up to be the leaders of tomorrow, to take our city to be the best version of itself. We know that this will help to do that because it's about families having the resources to be able to provide for our young people. And we know when it comes to those who fight for our young people and the future of our city and our state and our country in the United States Senate, there is no bigger champion than our senator, Senator Ben Cardin, who has been leading the way to make sure that sensible legislation that benefits everyday working people in our city, across our state, and across our country, that it gets to them. And Senator, I want to again thank you for all your support for Baltimore and for Maryland, and we'll turn it over to our great senator, Senator Cardin.
Mayor Scott, thank you very much. Thank you for your extraordinary leadership here in Baltimore City. We're in family-friendly Baltimore, and it's a day where we're at one of the great rec centers for today and tomorrow that under Mayor Scott's leadership that the families of Baltimore are enjoying on this beautiful day. So it's good to be here in Baltimore. And the mayor asked me, am I returning to Washington? And let me just give you a status on that. The Senate will be in session over the weekend and into next week. We're going to finish this bipartisan infrastructure bill, which is going to provide real help to Baltimore. We've already talked about some of the transit issues. We're talking about some of the roads and bridges and some of the economic opportunities that are going to help Baltimore City as a result. And we've talked about divided communities, the Mulberry-Franklin corridor, that the funds will be there to help the community bring our communities back together. We're going to get that done this weekend. and then we're going to move on to the budget resolution that's going to provide some additional relief for our families. It's going to deal with affordable child care, affordable higher education, paid family leave, all the issues of the financial pressures that are affecting American families. But the first delivery of Build Back Better, President Biden's commitment to not just build our nation back, but to build it back better and fairer for every community. The first chapter of that was the American Rescue Plan. And the American Rescue Plan provided the funds in order to get the vaccines out in a fair manner, and Baltimore took advantage of that. Thank you, Mayor Scott, for your leadership on that. It provided direct help to our urban centers. Baltimore received about $640 million in stabilization funds. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the way that you are using those funds to help our families and Baltimore thrive through this COVID pandemic. Your leadership was clearly there, but it also contained the expansion of the child tax credit that the mayor talked about. And it was a generational commitment to get families out of poverty. 52,000 children in Maryland were lifted out of poverty by that one single act, the most consequential bill that we've done to deal with poverty. And as the mayor pointed out, families were having trouble before COVID-19, but put COVID-19 on top of that, it was just very, very challenging for families to be able to afford the basics for their children. Children are a little bit expensive at times. And this bill, the expansion of the child credit, more families are now eligible for the child credit, increasing the amount of the child credit, and one more important thing, making it refundable. So the lower income families could get the full benefit of the child credit. That's how we lifted families out of poverty. And as the mayor pointed out, what we did, we gave part of the credit, but then half the credit is done in a monthly payment. And I know that many Baltimore families were very pleased to see on July 15th show up in their banking account. On average, it was about $400 that showed up in their banking account on July 15th. And it will provide a couple $100 million of relief to Maryland families just in the month of July, and that's going to continue. And if you filed your 2019 or 2020 tax returns, you're automatically receiving those checks, or if you apply for one of the economic benefits, you're automatic. But there's a lot of families out there that haven't done that because they, for whatever reasons, they were not eligible or didn't have to pay taxes, but now they have a refundable tax credit, and they can get this relief. And one of our real pleas is to let families know by going to irs.gov on the portal, you can file and get your refundable tax credits. That'll be a lifeline. And we know we have challenges right now on evictions and challenges on nutrition and food insecurity. This can help a great deal, and we want to make sure that our families take advantage of it. Last point I want to make. I talked about that we're going back to work to pass the bipartisan infrastructure and then to pass the budget resolution. The budget resolution extends this child tax credit and the earned income tax credits beyond their current expiration dates, which are next year. We want to make this permanent. We want to end poverty in all families, but particularly for our children. And this is a major step forward, and our delegation is committed to continuing to provide that relief. Now, I can tell you, we can talk about these numbers, and they're impressive, 52,000 children. Impressive numbers. But each one is a story. Each one tells their own events. And I just want to thank the people that are behind me today that are going to share some of their experiences with you. Because I tell you, when you see the faces and you hear the stories, you know what we're doing is making such a consequential difference in the lives of families here in Baltimore. Thank you, President Biden, for your vision, for your leadership, and for bringing forward a once-in-a-generational opportunity to really improve the lives of the people of Baltimore, Maryland, and our nation. And with that, I'm going to call up some of the individuals who will tell their own stories. I would ask if they would introduce themselves, because I'm not sure exactly who's behind me. I know I have Reverend Antonio Santoyo. I don't know if the Reverend wants to start from the Light of the World Church, and then we can continue to go on. Okay. Anna?
Hi, good afternoon. First of all, I want to thank our mayor and our Senator Carter for inviting us here to give a brief testimony of how the tax relief has helped us in our family. And as you know, and I could say, it's been really helpful. And I could say, as a mother of 4 children, I have a full-time job, and not only that, but the worry of providing for my children, because we know that our children are the future of tomorrow. They're the present. So by getting that money, it relieved and it helped me in so many ways that I could invest in my kids, showing them, especially my big daughter, my oldest daughter. I'd helped her get supplies for her to start her small business, teaching her that, she could, with that money, not only to spend it and things that will not provide her in a benefit, but help her in the future to invest that money and to teach her how to make more money for her to engage in other stuff. And all my other kids, knowing that in those, we have seen how many people have suffered, how many families, like our senator said, they, it's a struggle every day in our lives that we provide every day, and thinking, how are we going to provide for our kids the next day? How are we going to survive in our next day of life? But knowing that we have the senator and the mayor and people that are working together to provide for us and helping us and showing us, and know that we have somebody there, it brings, a little bit of peace to our mind, and knowing that we could use that money, because we didn't know we were gonna get that money, but since we got it, we now could understand, a little bit more better, all that support that we have now. How the senator said, in the struggles of COVID, how many people, how many families have been struggling, not only before COVID, but especially right now in these times of COVID. I have seen how very helpful has been this money been for my family, to provide me for my kids. And that's what I want to really thank everybody and all the senator for helping us and providing this act. Thank you.
Well, Anna, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
It's important to see the impact it has on families, and we thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
sharing it. I know we have Renita Dorsey from the Baltimore Regional Housing Partnership.
Hello, and I want to say thank you to Senator Cardin for all your efforts and help with moving this forward. As a employee with Baltimore Regional Housing Partnership, I've also been able to receive the benefit as well, even though I have been employed. It has been helpful. It has still been helpful. Receiving that first payment, July 15th, has afforded me the opportunity to get ahead with purchasing school supplies as well as uniforms for my son, helping to get ahead on bills. So, being able to pay that extra on certain bills that are going to come up, like gas and electric, cable, things like that, internet, which is essential now. Being able to pay those bills in advance, using that credit has been very helpful to families such as myself. Also, just being able to teach my son about the benefits of making sure that he is aware that just because you may receive additional funds, it doesn't mean that you spend it all at one time, that you should budget, that you should set aside for some of the things that you need, and also, if you have a little extra, then you get those things that you want. So ultimately, I really am grateful for being able to receive this benefit because it gives the family more flexibility to receive money that can stretch out further for them and make it work. And I think that if people are utilizing the money properly, that it can stretch and go far. And I do hope that it genuinely does become a permanent thing, because families can benefit with that throughout the year. So once again, I want to thank Senator Cardin, Mayor Brandon Scott, for having me today, and thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Charmaine Stern from Light Rock Child Care Center.
Hello. I'm here today on behalf of Light Rock Child Care Center, and we would like to thank you, Senator Carter, for the child care tax credit, and thank you, Mayor Scott. Our center has seen during the pandemic that a lot of our families were falling out of child care because they couldn't afford it, and a lot of families lost their jobs. We were still able to assist families because we understand that we were at unexpected times. And of course, once the child tax credit hit a lot of the families' accounts, they were able to bring their accounts current. And we still were able to assist them as much as we can because we know tough times are still ahead. And so we are grateful that the child tax credit is still available and still here moving forward. Myself, as a mother of 5, the child tax credit was very helpful to my family because during the pandemic, unfortunately, I was laid off, and it was unexpected financial crisis for me and my family. And once the child tax credit became available, I was able to get caught up on a lot of bills that I had fell behind, and now I am able to be more prepared moving forward as far as getting the kids school supplies and getting on top of some of the bills that I fell delinquent behind. This has been a big, big blessing, and this has contributed to so much in my household. Being a parent of multiple age children is very tough. As some of the stories you heard today, the internet is very essential. During the virtual learning, it was very tough at times to keep the technology running and to not be able to have funds to keep the education flowing in the home was very difficult. I am very happy that this act is in effect to know that if some of these issues shall arise, that we have a plan and action to not prevent the children from learning moving forward. Thank you again, Senator M.S. Scott.
Well, once again, thank you for sharing. We have Sarah Johnson from the Cash Campaign of Maryland.
Actually, have Ms. Steele speak first. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to tell my story today. I have become a new homeowner in the pandemic, and this child tax credit has allowed me to have peace of mind during that time. I have it sitting in my savings so that I can use it for anything that's going to come up with my home in the future. I have a 6-year-old daughter, and as I've been facing this pandemic, I thought my home ownership journey was a lot further away. So I'm very thankful for the Cash Campaign of Maryland, as they were one of the organizations that I partnered with in order to make this dream come true. They've been doing my taxes for 4 years, and they were able to partner me with the Habitat for Humanity of the Chesapeake. And I am a homeowner who has the home that is a Hopkins and a Habitat partnership in East Baltimore. And so it feels wonderful. I can have a sigh of relief as it's been about a month. There's boxes surrounding me, but I am able to establish my daughter in a community, and we now have a home in Baltimore. Then that was just not possible before the pandemic. And so I'm just so grateful. This tax money has had a wonderful impact on my life, and peace of mind right now during a pandemic is sometimes often fleeting. And I'm just so thankful that I have just wonderful representatives who really care about me and my family. Thank you.
Thank you, Carly. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Johnson. I'm with the Cash Campaign of Maryland. I want to say thank you to Senator Cardin and Mayor Scott for welcoming me here today to say a few words. I will be brief. It is strange to be talking about taxes in the summer. The Cash Campaign is a nonprofit, and it stands for Creating Asset Savings and Hope. And we usually have a big kickoff in January with our delegation. We hope you folks will join us, hopefully in person in January of 2022. We have been doing this work for 20 years in Baltimore. We've served thousands of families and through ups and downs in the economy, and I will tell you these past 2 years that we have seen nothing like it. So we're really proud to say that we've been able to pivot to offer our services both virtually and in sort of a light touch way. And so there's 2 things I want to make sure people know today. We are open for business. If you need help filing your taxes, navigating, you heard the senator and the mayor talk about the qualifications and how to get it, and it's a lot of alphabet soup. It's a lot of confusion, right? The Cash Campaign is here. Please go to bemorefreetaxes.org. On our website, you'll find all the information you need to make an appointment, to find the documents that you need to have your taxes filed for free. We are here to help. We do our taxes usually January through April, but we've been working really hard. I know our team is actually back at our office doing taxes today. They are exhausted. We are really pushing ourselves to try and serve as many people as we can. This past year, we had over 60,000 calls to our scheduling line. On a normal year, we serve 10,000 households. We could not serve all those folks. Doing this work remotely using the internet is not easy, and trying to submit things with technology, with our cell phones, is also really challenging. So please be patient with us. We're doing everything we can. Go to that website, bemorefreetaxes.org, early and often, because we're always trying to add more appointments to try and serve more people in our community to file their taxes for free. My second thing I want to mention is that, as I said, our capacity is limited, and these tax credits and the earned income tax credit and the child credit and these other things are so vital for families. And we need more investment in our infrastructure and those of our partners around the city and around the state that are trying to make sure that people access these tax credits. Navigating the IRS website, navigating the income qualifications, figuring out who qualifies and who doesn't is really challenging. And people just need that person on the phone to ask those questions. And it's hard to reach those folks. So we really need additional investment. We do not want these tax credits to be a windfall for paid tax preparers. We are here to do it for free. People need all this money. You heard these stories of families who need every dollar. Let's make sure that we're making sure that every person in our community is getting every dollar of these valuable tax credits, because as you heard, they make a big difference. Again, please go to bemorefreetaxes.org for an appointment. Thank you.
Let me thank all of the presenters who told their stories. COVID-19 was cruel. It was cruel on the health side, people who were victimized by the virus, but it also put our families at risk of losing their homes, of being evicted, of being insecure on their food. We saw the amount of interest and needs from our food banks. We saw the absolute necessity to have high-speed internet access. So many families could not afford that because their incomes were down. We saw the pain in families, and President Biden responded to that in a big way with the American Rescue Plan. It really did serve as a lifeline to so many families. You heard Sarah talk about the child credit. We have not talked about the earned income tax credit, which takes working families out of poverty. That was expanded. And now we're going to have another opportunity. I just want to underscore, we haven't finished. The third part of this, the budget resolution, the American Family Plan, is going to deal with the needs of child care, affordable child care. It's going to deal with the needs of affordable higher education. It's going to deal with the realities of working families on paid family and medical leave. And we're going to continue to do that. But here's the other point, Sarah, that I want you to know. We're going to pay for it. But we're not going to pay for it with people earning less than $400,000. Those that were treated so well during the 2017 tax bill. We have seen during COVID-19 that millionaires and billionaires have made even more money. They're going to pay their fair share. And we're going to take steps to make sure that those that are well off, that have benefited, pay their fair share. And we're going to pay for this in a way that we haven't done in the past and help those families that have been struggling with their needs. And we're not going to burden future generations with additional debt. So I just really want to make that point, and we're doing it because of the people behind us who are struggling every day to make ends meet, taking care of their families, and they deserve our attention, and they're going to get our support. So thank you all for sharing. Mayor Scott, be glad to answer all the hard questions. If you have an easy question, I'll take.
Senator, the question is about I'm going to say red line, but the infrastructure stuff. Going from the west to the east, Can you make a little reference to that?
Well, I think everyone here knows that I disagreed with Governor Hogan's decision to end the red line. I thought that was a mistake. We had the federal funds for that partnership. Our delegation strongly supported the efforts to increase public transit in Baltimore. There's a lot of different options, and the mayor has been working with different options to connect the east and west and different options on public transportation. But we wanted the state to know that our federal delegation has the funds for a federal partnership to expand rapid rail in Baltimore if there's a will at the state level to do that. And that was the statement that we made in getting language included in this bipartisan infrastructure package that includes the red line in Baltimore being eligible for federal funds. Now, we know there's no application in, that comes from the state, but we wanted you to know that we're for that. Now, there's other options available, and we'll work with the mayor on other options from public transit. We have a major commitment in this bill and in the next bill to deal with the climate crisis. And we know the more cars we can get off the roads, it's not only going to be better for your commute and for not wasting time in congestion, but it's also good for our environment. And we will have funds available to help Baltimore. The mayor has been very creative on the trails and pedestrians and bike paths, something that I strongly support. We're going to get funding for him to act in partnership as we have in the past to help the people of Baltimore get around their community without needing to take a car.
And one more question. You've toured this over all the years, 40-some years, Baltimore City. You're coming back to a neighborhood that's being revitalized, especially with this building. How do you feel seeing, and I don't want to promote this guy, but he's doing the rec centers, the pools. How big a deal is that for the kids in Baltimore?
Well, let me tell you something. Mayor Scott provides the type of energy, the type of vision, what we need in Baltimore. And he has given us hope that this great city, which has such a proud history, has a bright future. And that's why I'm glad that we're here to showcase one of the premier rec centers that we have, not just in Baltimore, but in our country. It's located right here in Baltimore. We're at Leakin Park. No other city has a Leakin Park like we do. No other city has the Olmsted design of connecting communities through green space that the mayor is now working to reconnect through green space, to improve the quality of life of people in Baltimore. And I want to tell you something. He was handed a very difficult task on dealing with violence. It's on the rise around the country. We know that. And the mayor has a game plan, and our federal delegation is fully supporting that to bring down the violence in Baltimore. So I'm very proud to have been representing this community now. You're kind to say 40 years. It's been over 50 years that I've represented Baltimore in the state legislature or in Congress, and I'm proud of our mayor and the work that he's doing.
Oh, I have a question for the mayor. Throughout your time as mayor, we've talked a lot about youth, opportunity, education, how they're impacted by violence. How does this tax credit specifically help children in these areas?
So, Alexa, I'll answer, and thank you for the question, in a very unique way. Imagine being a young person who, as you heard, right, whose parent just can't afford to buy their school uniforms and it's required, who the only way that you eat dinner is if you eat it at a rec center or after school program. That's what this kind of stuff provides, right? I can think about the children and families that I help out personally, right? And the young people that ask me, hey, can you help me buy my tennis shoes or my cleats to be able to participate in sports, which we know will keep young people off the streets. This kind of tax credit helps family be able to do that for their young people. Internet, as you heard, we know that they cannot do anything in the world without having internet at home now. We know the barriers that are there for so many, paying bills. Young people, families who now they'll be able to say, okay, yes, they don't have to make decisions on whether they're going to pay the water bill or the light bill. That's how real this is for some families in Baltimore City. And no one benefits more than that than our young people.
Thank you. My second question, off topic. We received reports of a stabbing that happened overnight in Fells Point. This happening the same week those added resources with the sheriff's office were pulled out. Given this incident, do you intend to put those resources back into that area?
So again, Alexa, you know how I respond to this. We resources are deployed based on where the data says it should be, and we'll look at that as we always do. We also know that we had a homicide in Emerson Village last night, right, where someone died. This is about making sure that we have those resources everywhere in the city to make sure that everywhere in the city is getting that kind of attention. We'll do it in Fells Point. We'll do it in Emerson Village. We'll do it here in Walbrook. We'll do it everywhere that we have to be. And it's about being nimble and moving them consistently because we know incidents in Baltimore move everywhere, and we know that folks, especially in places where people are going to be having disputes, where they would stab someone, can happen anywhere at any time.
Thank you all very much.
Share one more.
Oh, one more.
Well, it's also off topic, and it's for you, Mr. Mayor.
No one wants to talk about a tax credit today?
I know. With related to COVID and the mask mandate, do you believe, I know we had another surge of cases just from yesterday to today, do you believe that the mask mandate will help bring down and stop that spread?
We know that masks work, right? This is not, it's not something that I say, is something that our wonderful doctors say, not that Dr. Duraza, the wonderful folks at Hopkins, the wonderful folks at all of our hospital partners here in Baltimore, the folks at the CDC. We know it works. This is a way for us to slow the spread. None of us want to go back to what we went through the last 2 times. And for anyone that's frustrated about wearing a mask and you're not vaccinated, then look in the mirror. It's your fault that we're going back to having an indoor mask mandate. Make sure that folks get vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, shut up. Don't complain. Folks need to wear a mask to protect themselves, to protect the people around them, to make sure, even if you're vaccinated, that you're not transmitting this deadly virus to anyone else.
What do you think about Cahill behind you?
Cahill is our wonderful best rec center that we have for now. Until Cherry Hill opens next year, then that one will overtake it. But it's a wonderful thing to have here in West Baltimore. I actually was here last week. We had members of our theatrical arts community touring it with myself and the director, because Cahill Rec Center is known for putting on theater, and we want to build those partnerships as well. Not every young person just goes into the gym and never leaves like me. Some young people want to do theater. They can do dance in there. They can swim indoors in there. It's a great place. I was actually very pleased to see a lot of our older adults in there working out last week. It's an actually functioning gym, and it's a lot cheaper than even Planet Fitness. So if you live in West Baltimore, you're looking for a gym, come to Cahill Rec Center. Thank you.